let us look at what we're doing today. Today we are starting a new series, and that series is Pythagoras. Before we get started, yes, Liacho,
Ma'am, I just wanted to ask, ma'am, when are we closing school? Like MathsLive.
we're not until the end of the year.
Yeah, okay, ma'am, cool.
Yeah, we only had one break in the middle, and beyond that, we're just going through the rest of the year. So if we're looking at the theorem of Pythagoras, the theorem of Pythagoras is a theorem. And what is a theorem? It's really just a theory. How am I spelling this? It's a theory. That does not look right. How do I spell theory? Let me actually check. Give me a second. Theory. Yep, there's no E. I thought I had much. But then the word looks too short, just like this. Anywho, it is just a theory, okay? And it is basically something that tells us what happens when something happens. I have no better way to describe it. Google says a theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. So, very complicated definition given by Google. Um, and sorry, I just have to open the chat on the side super quick. My English teacher is for sure disappointed. Once you leave school, you'll see like spelling leaves you, Afrikaans leaves you. Like you never use those things ever. So yeah, my English teacher is disappointed. But anywho, so it is just something that explains how stuff works. A theory is something that explains how stuff works, and that is basically what we have with the theorem of Pythagoras. It's something that explains how right-angled triangles work. Now, this is an actual theorem that was formed by an actual mathematician. Um, so, what the theory says is that, and actually, before I even tell you about the theory, let's look at this right angle triangle. The first thing, uh oh, the first thing that you guys should know is you should know that the longest side of a right angle triangle has a special name. Does anybody know what that special name is? Unati, I think that's your hand. Yes, it is.
Ma'am, it's called the hypotenuse.
100%. It is called the hypotenuse. And let me just make this pen a little bit bigger. It is called the hypotenuse. So immediately, the first thing you guys should know is that the longest side in your triangle is called the hypotenuse. So your hypotenuse is your longest side. But in this triangle, I don't have the lengths of the sides. So how did I know that this line here that I highlighted in green, how did I know that this was the hypotenuse? Because, um, sorry, I'm reading chats. Uh, because the hypotenuse is also the side that is opposite the right angle. Okay, so if you don't have the lengths of the lines in your triangle, what you can do is you look at your right angle, and the line that is opposite that right angle is the one that is the hypotenuse. And what the theorem of Pythagoras says is it says that your longest side squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Now, I know that was a lot to take in, but let's look at what we would do if I were to label this, if I were to label this triangle A, B, C. what happens is that my hypotenuse, which is AB, the square of my hypotenuse would be equal to the sum of the squares of my other two sides. And my other two sides are AC and CB. So some people learn the theorem of Pythagoras with this formula. I know other people like myself learned it with r squared is equals to x squared plus y squared. So whichever formula you have learned, and I'm sure there's another one, but all that it means is that your hypotenuse squared. So by the way, r represents your hypotenuse. X, if you think about a graph, which side is your x? This line over here would be your x, and up here would be your y. So that is how I learned it. I know a lot of people learn it this first way on the top here with AB squared equal to AC squared plus CB squared. And all that it means is this. To calculate any one of these lengths, you obviously need to have two actual values. And the minute you have two actual values, you have one unknown, you can set up an equation and you can solve for whatever the unknown is. But all that it's saying is you take your longest side and you square it, and that should be equal to the square of your other two sides. So I'm going to do the first example, and then Kia, I've saved a question for you. So Kia's going to answer my first question, and then I'll take hands to answer the next questions. So let me answer the first question and show you guys what I'm going to do. And something that I failed to mention up until now is the theorem of Pythagoras only applies in right angle triangles. So it only applies in right angled triangles. Kia, I promise you are gonna do this one. This is the best one for you to do. Take my word for it. So, how do I know when I can use Pythagoras? The minute I see a right angle triangle, I know Pythagoras applies. And so over here, what I see is they asked me to determine the unknown lengths. And what I see is that my unknown length is this. And I just want to make this bigger. I know it's bigger. Okay. My unknown length at the moment right now is this line over here, which is AC. But immediately when I look at this triangle, I see this line that I don't know is my hypotenuse. Why is it my hypotenuse? Because it's the line that is opposite my right angle. Okay. And once I see that, okay, this is my missing line, I'm going to set up my equation. I'm going to set up my formula for Pythagoras, and that says that AC squared should be equal to AB squared plus BC squared. How did I set this up? I said that the longest side squared must be equal to the sum of my other two sides squared. Okay, so that is how you set up your equation. It's going to be the same for all of your triangles. Obviously, if they're labeled differently, you'll have different letters, but it's always going to be the same concept. Your longest side squared is equals to the sum of the square of your other two sides. And because this is still part of geometry, I have to give a reason and say why this is true. And this is true because of the theorem of Pythagoras. I see hands up. I want to know if you guys are answering or if you have a question. Let's start with Uma. Uma, I'm assuming you want to answer.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I put up my hand. And also, I also learned a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. That's also
Okay,
the way that people learn.
exactly the same thing. But that's fine. Thanks, Uma. And then keep your hand up so I know. I'll call you first because I know your hand was up. Your hand was up first. Itandila, yes, you are answering.
Yes, ma'am.
Unati, you.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask a question because you know how we named the hypotenuse AC squared?
Mm-hmm.
Can we not just say like the small letter b squared? Because my teacher said that we can name the hypotenuse the smaller version of like the right angle. I don't know if you
Yes,
understand.
you can. So when you're naming a triangle, the other way that we name a triangle is the reason you would say B is because this is the letter over here. So the side that is opposite this point would be a small letter B. Here we have a point which is C. So the side opposite this would be a small letter C. And here we have A. So the side opposite this would be a small letter A. So you could 100% set up your equation like this and say B squared is equals to A squared plus C squared. It's exactly the same thing.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Pleasure. Nkuli, do you have a question?
Ma'am, I don't know what's going on. Are you screen sharing, ma'am?
I am. Do you see the screen in like a small little block,
I
maybe?
can't see, ma'am.
Who is talking right now? Nkuli, is that you?
No.
Yes, okay. Let me stop
Yes.
sharing and let me share again. Okay, I've stopped sharing and I've now shared again. So you should be able to see it now. Did that help?
The big S. Ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Are you screen sharing an S?
No, no.
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
you possibly may have pinned my profile. Okay, but Nkuli, I heard a thank you. So are you all sorted now?
I'm seeing a block, yes.
What do you mean a block?
I think leave the class and come back. I think that's the best way.
Yeah, I also think so because I've reshared my screen. So if you still can't see, maybe just try leaving and joining again, Nkuli. Okay, cool. So let us look at ma'am, where does the square come from? That is just what our theorem says. Our theorem says that we take the square of the longer side and we take the squares of the shorter side, and the square of the longer side is equal to the sum of the squares of the shorter sides. That is just the rule. So the square is literally just part of our formula. So now that we've set up our equation, what we are going to say is that what is the value of my side that is A? The value of my side that is A is 15 centimeters. So I'm substituting in 15 where I saw A. And let's look at what the value of my 36 is. And that is going to be well, that is going to be 36. The value of my side that is C is 36. So I'm substituting in 36 where I see C. And now, in order to solve this equation, I first have to get the squares of these numbers. So somebody tell me, what is the square of 15? Here, do not stress. Do not stress. I will talk you through
Ma'am,
it.
it's 225.
Thank you very much. 225. And the square of 36?
1296.
Thank you. And when we add those up,
1521.
let me double check that. 1521. There we go. Now, somebody tell me, in order to solve this, am I done? Am I done, or is there something I need to do again?
Ma'am, you're missing out something because you want b by itself and you don't want b squared, so you have to square root and b is equals to 39.
Thank you very, very much, Mark. He's explained it beautifully. I don't want to know what b squared is. I just want to know what b is. So remember, the opposite of a square is a square root. If you didn't know, the opposite of a square is a square root. Okay? And so in order to remove my square root, or rather in order to remove my square, I square root the one side. Because I square rooted the one side, I must square root the other side. And if I remember correctly, I think Uma told me this was 39. And this is now my final answer. So my unknown length, the side that we labeled B, or you could call it AC, is equals to 39 centimeters. And this is the end of my answer. Nkuli, are you still not seeing the squares are not just there for decoration? Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, that you don't really use them much, but they actually do go into the equation, because remember we solved our squares here, and you can't just go 15 plus 36 and then square root it. So what I want to show you guys is it's wrong to go and say 15 squared plus 36 squared is going to give me 50. So you can't say b squared is equals to 51 squared and then square root this and square root this and then say b is equals to whatever the square root of 51 is. Literally the square root of 51, or rather actually this is 51 squared, so my square and my square root cancel, and all I'm going to be left with is b is equals to 51. So immediately I want to tell you guys that this is wrong. Do not do this. You cannot add numbers just because they're both squared. You have to first multiply out your square, get rid of your exponent, then you can add them, then you square root them all together. So that is that. Nkuli, let me maybe try and help you. Do you see my screen in like a small little block? Yes. So click on that small little block. It should expand it. Did that work?
Sorry, ma'am. So are we all seeing your profile pic, like just S?
No. No. We should be seeing the
No.
board with a triangle on it, an equation. But Nkuli, you said you see the board in a small square, right?
I thought you meant like a square.
No. So you're not?
Oh,
so
now I can see it. Now I can see it.
okay, like properly, fully, you clicked on it, it's expanded.
Yes.
Okay, great stuff. So you're seeing the triangle, the equation on the side with the x through it.
Yes, ma'am, I can see.
Okay, great. Kia, I do still want you to answer this question. If you really, really, really don't want to, that's okay. But I think this is the best question for you to answer. And again, you're not answering to know the answer. You're answering to try. I will walk you through it, and you will just try. And I even put a heading there just so that I remembered. So Kia, do you want to try? Is Kia still in class? Let's see. No. Am I seeing that correctly? Yeah, Kia's not sure. Okay, let's go straight to our hands, I guess. Uma,
Ma'am, can I please ask a question?
yes, you
Real
can.
quick. Ma'am, for your statement, you just write Pythagoras theorem and then you're done. For
Yes,
your statement.
you don't even have to write out the full thing. You can just write Pythag and that's enough.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here. Don't worry.
Okay, Uma, I just saw Kia joined again.
I am
So
Superman. I'm the superhero to save the people.
Kia gets first preference. Kia, I see your back. Do you want to try? Kia, you missed my whole speech. I gave you a whole speech where I say you don't have to know what you're doing. I'm literally gonna walk you through it. So if you're sure that you don't want to do it, then you don't have to. But I do think that this is the question for you. So Kia, if you send a message saying you're sure, then I'll let Uma do it. Would you get banned or kicked if I spam me? What does that mean? As in to answer, Layla? I mean, I wouldn't kick you, but I wouldn't kick you. But I would ask that you stop. I'm sure I'm not sure. Okay, Kia, let's talk. Let's talk, Kia. Immediately, I want to ask you, what type of triangle is this?
It's a right angle triangle, ma'am.
It's a right angle triangle. So you tell me, does Pythagoras apply in right angle triangles?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
It does. Which is the hypotenuse? Can you tell me which side is the hypotenuse in this triangle?
The x side.
The x, right? That is my hypotenuse. Beautiful, 100%. So Kia, do you think I can use Pythagoras to solve this question?
Yes, I do.
You do. And you are 100% right by telling me that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go back and see what was my formula for Pythagoras. It is the square of my longest side, which is my hypotenuse. So what's the first thing I'm going to write down? Which side is my longest side? Which one did you say?
The x side.
The x. And actually, I almost want to label this so that it's a little bit more sensical. So we're going to call that longest side AB. Do you see how I named that side, Kia?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So AB, and I have to square it, right, Kia? It's equal to the sum of, and what are the names of my other two sides? Can you tell me what is the side called in terms of the letters?
BC.
BC, and I can't just say BC, I must say BC squared plus, and what's the name of the other side?
CA squared.
CA squared. So we could say CA squared because we're going everything in capital letters. In alphabetical order, I'm going to say AC squared. But CA is perfectly okay. It's the exact same thing. Now, we have our equations set up. In geometry, once we have a statement, what do we need on this side here?
We need
I'm helping you.
a reason, yes, ma'am.
100% we need a reason. So we've just used a theorem over here, and I know that is the reason I'm saying that this is true. So let's go back. Let's look at what we did in our previous one. Kia, what do you think the reason is going to be here? What is the reason that I've said that AB squared is equals to BC squared plus AC squared?
Opposite of squared is square root.
Not quite. So you don't have to explain the whole theorem. All you have to do is say Pythagoras. So you could go and write out Pythagoras theorem, ... But remember, with our reasons, we want the shortest version possible. So what you said is not wrong, but We want the shortest version possible, and this is more of a recognized reason. So this will be the reason that your teacher will mark correct. You with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So now that we have our reason, now we can move on. Let's do substitution. What can I substitute for AB over here, Kia?
V squared.
I'm going to substitute in x, right? So that is going to be x squared. If we look at BC, do I know the length of BC, Kia?
Yes, ma'am.
So what can I substitute in place of BC?
12.
12. So where I see BC, I'm now putting in 12, and then I know I have to put in the square there as well. Do we know the length of AC?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what can I substitute for AC?
9 squared.
9 squared. Okay. Now, what I want you to see here is now that we have this, it is wrong. It is wrong for us to go and say 12 plus 9 is 21 and then make that squared. We have to first almost flatten out our squares. Right now, this doesn't look very flat to me. These squares are bothering me. So what I want to do is get rid of these squares. So in order to get rid of these squares, I need to multiply out. So 12 squared, I know, is 12 times 12. If you have a calculator or if you know the answer, Kia, tell me what is 12 squared.
It's 24, ma'am.
So we're not saying 12 plus 12. Remember, it's multiplication. Where's my calculator? Oh, yeah. So go 12 times 12. What are you getting? Leila, check your answer.
144.
100%, it's 144. And try 9 squared. 9 squared, remember, is 9 times 9. So what do we get there?
81.
81. 100%. Kia, what do you think we do next?
I think we must add the numbers.
100%. And what do we get when we add the numbers?
We are going to get the x squared. The x squared is equals to 225.
225. And Kia, are we now done?
No, ma'am.
What do we still have to deal with?
We have to find the square root of 225.
100%. I can see this is x squared. I don't want to know what is x squared. I just want to know what is x. So for my square and my square root to cancel, I've done that. And because I square rooted the one side, I've square rooted the other side. And so now I'm just left with x is equals to, and Kia, what is the square root of 225?
225, ma'am.
Do you have a calculator in front of you, Kia?
Yes, I do.
Do you know how to put in a square root into your calculator?
15, ma'am.
It is 15. So if anybody doesn't know how to put in a square root, I almost want to draw this calculator, okay? You have your calculator, you have your screen, you have the little round button, then you have the first row of buttons. And in your second row of buttons, this button over here is the one with the root symbol. So if you ever want to do the square root of something, you're going to press this button, and then it will give you a root sign, just in case anybody didn't know. Because I know when I had my first calculator, I had no idea how to use it. So there we go, and that is 15. And Kia, are we done now?
No. Yes, no.
Yes, we are done. And was it so bad, Kia?
No, yes.
No, yes. It's not so bad. So I just wanted to give you a question, a chance to do a question. It's not so bad. Answering, it's not about knowing everything. It's about trying, and that's what everybody in class does. We are not geniuses. So that it, why are my questions doing this? Sorry. Okay, let's take the rest of our hands in the meantime. Thank you very much, Kia, for answering. Let us see who is next. We have, okay, Uma's hand was up first, so Uma, you can go.
I'm gonna say x squared is equals to 12 squared plus 5 squared. My reason is Theorem of Pythagoras.
Okay, so 100% correct, but generally we always want to do a formula first. So I'm just going to go r squared is equal to x squared plus y squared. Yes.
X squared is equals to 144 plus 25.
X squared is equals to 144 plus 25. Good job.
X squared is equals to 169.
Good job.
The square root x is equals to 13.
X is equals to 13. 100%. Thank you very much, Uma. Now, what I want you guys to see, why did Uma square root? Because when we get to this answer, we are not done. We don't want to know what is x squared. We want to know what is the root of x squared. In other words, we want to know what is x by itself. So in order to remove that square, we square root, just like doing inverse operations in an equation. Because we square root the one side, we must square root the other side. And that leads us to our answer. Leila, it's not to say that you'll always lose a mark, but what does tend to happen is sometimes a mark is allocated to putting in a correct formula. So whether a mark is or is not allocated, it sometimes depends on the question. But just in case there is a mark, you never want to miss out on putting down your formula. So I wouldn't say it's like life or death to have in your formula, but it's always the smart move just to have your formula there in case marks have been allocated to it. Okay, moving on to our next one. Oh, I cannot make this one bigger. Okay, whatever. Itanile, you are up next. Itanile's hand just went down. So I'm gonna try Unati. Do you have a question or did you want to answer?
Ma'am, I want to answer.
Great. Let us see. What are we thinking?
Okay, so we're gonna say small letter L squared is equal to K plus M. Don't forget to square them.
There we go. I was waiting for you to tell me.
And then L squared is equal to 8 squared plus 6 squared.
This looks like an I and it's bothering me. So I'm just gonna go L squared is equals to 8 squared plus 6 squared. Yes.
And then L squared is equals to 64 plus
L squared is equals to 64 plus
plus 36.
36, 100%.
And then L squared is equals to 100.
And
And then you're gonna put no.
There we go.
And then you're gonna put L squared in a square root as well as 100 in a square root. And then it's gonna equal to 10. L is gonna equal to 10.
Are we done now?
Yeah. No, wait. The reason.
Thank you very much. I was hoping to catch you. There we go. Pythagoras. Now we are done. Very well answered. Thank you, Unati. Next, before our brain break, what was our brain break? I don't have a brain break. Oh my dear God, why don't I have a brain break? Oh, I do. I was like, what the heck? Okay. It really did evaporate. Okay. Let us answer one more question. Layla, you are up next.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
Hello.
Layla, before we answer, I'm going to take Kia's question. Yes, Kia.
ask a question about the one that was done by Unati.
Mm-hmm.
Is it wrong to replace the L with another letter?
What other letter would you replace it with?
K or
So
X?
you could say X, but remember you must then label your diagram to show X. But sometimes our teachers don't always see our diagrams. So if you were going to label it with just one letter, it would have to be L. Because when we have a triangle, we can label the sides of our triangles in two different ways. So remember, the points in our triangles will always be labeled. That will be A, B, and C over there. And when we label a line, remember we can either use two letters, which will be AB, BC, and AC, or if you only want to use one letter, first things first, there must be small letters, and each side has to be labeled according to the angle that it's opposite, or to the point that it's opposite. So this side over here will have to be small letter A. The side over here will have to be small letter C. And the side over here will have to be small letter B. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
So in this triangle, it is wrong to label this K, a small k, because K is opposite this side. So this side in my triangle would be a small letter K. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, ma'am. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Can I answer, ma'am?
Leila? Yes.
First thing with the formula, X. Can I make up some letters, ma'am?
Yes, you can.
Squared equals,
Well, no. Let me help you. And let's not use ABC. Let's go P U R. Okay, now let's go.
okay, ma'am, PQ
Mm-hmm.
squared
Mm-hmm.
equals, PR
Mm-hmm.
squared
Mm-hmm.
plus RQ squared.
RQ squared. 100%.
Then I believe is X. Wait, PQ squared.
Mm-hmm. So we can substitute instead of PQ, we can say X.
Okay, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. So you can go X squared, yes, is equals to
4 centimeters plus, no, 4 centimeters squared
mm-hmm.
plus 3 centimeters squared.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
X squared
Mm-hmm.
equals 4 squared equals
What's on
16.
4? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Next.
And 3 squared equals 9.
Look at me, I'm writing the answer in there. 9, 100%.
X X squared
Mm-hmm.
16 plus 19, which equals 25.
Yep.
And
We done?
no, we're not done. Then we square root them,
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
which is X
Mm-hmm.
equals to 5.
Beautiful. Thank you very
And
much.
we're not done yet. The reason, Pythagorean theorem.
100%. Okay. Thank you for answering, Leila.
You're welcome.
What was I gonna say? You guys are gonna get sick of me asking, are we done? Are we done? Are we done? Because I want to drill it into your heads. Because in a test, it is so easy to just leave it as x squared. It is so easy to miss out your reason. So if you get sick of me asking, are we done? I hope that you do. Because I hope that you remember my annoying voice in your head in a test asking, are we done? Because it's such easy marks that you guys are gonna lose if you don't put your reasoning, if you don't do that last step of square rooting. So prepare to be sick of me. That's all I'm saying. Moving on into our brain. Now, before we move on into our brain break, I have not checked in with you guys once. So let me know, are we done? I mean, good question, but not the right question. Are we happy? Are we following? Is it making sense? I'm seeing thumbs up, so I'm happy to see that. Thanks, Kia, for defending me. We're not done. We're not done. We're not done. Let's jump into our brain break quickly. So we're playing One Must Go. What? I feel like we've done this one. Is this supposed to be One Must Stay? Yeah, we so did this one. No, we didn't. Yes, we did. Why is this brain break here? I don't know what I did with this. Okay, just give me a break. But we'll play it again anyways. One must go. Free food, free clothes, free transport, free toiletries. I see hands. There's about 1 million hands up. I'm going to pick people who have not spoken. See, I don't know how, because do I take the people who have answered and reward them for answering, or do I take the people who haven't spoken to give them a chance to speak? Like, I don't know. I don't know. But we'll go with we'll go with Gloria. Yes, Gloria. Gloria's hand is down. So many hands went down. Okay, let's go, Uma. Yes, Uma.
Alright, so we have different ones. Okay, free clothes, right? Think about the homeless people now. They need free clothes sometimes. Free food, hungry people on the road. Free transport, people who have no money to afford transport. And then we got free toiletries. Okay, so I think we should get rid of transport because you can walk. Legs can be transport unless you change legs and you just kill your legs. It will be fine.
Fair enough. I agree, right? Because I feel like although we do travel every day, like transport is like the thing we use the least, kind of. Because like food we eat like 3 times a day. Come on. Clothes we wear every day. Toiletries every day, hopefully, you guys.
Wait,
Transport.
ma'am,
Mhm.
think about it. Instead of you wearing clothes, pick leave some of the cheese and then cover your body.
You want to be cavemen. Okay. Wow.
Minus 6 million years.
Uma wants us to go back to the Stone Ages. But that is a fine. Let's see who's next. Not actually no. I'm going to the next one because we have very limited time. We have what do we get rid of? Siblings, cousins, friends, nieces, and nephews. Personally, I'm sorry, but friends would have to go. Unati.
Ma'am, I'll get rid of siblings because I don't have any. So
Same here. Also don't have any siblings.
Okay, but that's not fair.
but ma'am, I can't sympathize with the others because I don't have a brother or sister.
Ma'am, I
Okay.
also
Fair.
siblings because I don't have
Only
siblings.
child privileges. Only child privileges.
You only children. You are actually sad. It's not a flex.
Friends
That
must
is such a flex. It's such a flex.
See, but you only think it is because you don't know what it's like to have siblings.
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
if you
I do
could
have
hear my friends' horror stories about their siblings.
True.
Ma'am, I do have siblings.
Yeah, you do have
Ma'am,
siblings.
I like having a sibling. Take away friends, ma'am. You don't need friends in life.
That's what I'm saying, right? Your siblings are your friends. Come on.
I came alone in this
Ma'am,
world.
ma'am, but then you hearing your friends talk about their siblings doesn't make you want a sibling because like they have
Wait, what happens if you don't have friends, Tanji?
like
That means you won't
you
be able
see
to talk about siblings.
you see Umar, you see when you said life, you don't need friends. You don't need like a whole genre of friends. You just need that one friend to be your sibling to know that, you know what? At least I have a friend who I don't need a sibling. A sibling, that's what I don't need.
Gloria has 4 siblings. Oh my gosh. Crazy. And
I only
Layla doesn't have.
That's sad.
Okay, we're on to the next one. Sorry to cut your debate short, but we are running out of time.
last week.
Answer me, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Stats
we
not
did
good.
this one.
I know we did this one. That's why I'm confused also why.
Actually, ma'am.
Yeah, but
Actually, ma'am. Now what is this, ma'am? Is this one must go or one must stay?
We must
I
make
don't know what I was doing, honestly, Liacho.
Hey, ma'am, yani.
I don't know. But it is what it is now. We're just going with one must go. So Liacho, what did you get rid of?
Ma'am, algebra. I mean, actually, no, man. You know what? Actually, geometry, ma'am. I'll get rid of geometry. I'm sorry, ma'am. Ma'am, remember that time, ma'am? I said it. I'm gonna get rid of geometry.
Fair enough, fair enough. A lot of people don't like.
Askisi, ma'am. Ne?
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Sorry, ma'am.
Yes, Kia.
I'll get rid of algebra because I haven't done those two, ne? But geometry is like yes.
Okay, guys. Why would you choose algebra instead of stats? Who is good at stats?
That's
That's
not.
the problem.
No,
I have
stats is easy, but
so I wouldn't say
Can I
like
just ask one random question? What is stats?
stats is
When you go to
basically
grade 10, maybe you'll hate it. I don't know.
for sure.
Ah, hell nah.
Stats is data
One
and
day it's algebra.
Uma.
The rest can.
okay. I just muted everybody. Sorry. But I'm going back to math. Where's my triangle? I don't know what's happening with this lesson, honestly. You guys will forgive me, hopefully. Where is this triangle? Determine the length of KM. Okay, we're skipping A, clearly. Moving on, let us look at B. Yeah, it's playing hide and seek. I don't know what I did here. I don't know, really. Determine the length of DF. If your hand was up as a brain break and you don't want to answer, now is the time to put your hand down. Moving on. Uma is in the chat. He's saying, pick me, choose me, love me. I don't know if you guys know that TikTok sound, but that is Uma right now. Uma, yes, you can go.
Yay. So anyway, df squared is equals to 6 squared plus 8 squared.
Okay, so let's do a formula
Right.
first. So I'm gonna say ED squared plus EF squared. And now we can just keep this as DF squared and make this 6 squared plus 8 squared. Okay, go, Uma.
My reason is Theorem of Pythagoras. Df squared is equals to 36 plus 64.
36 plus 8 times 8, yeah, 64.
Df squared is equals to 100, and now you square root, and df is equals to 10. And you got the
Beautiful.
squared at the corner over there. That is
Thank you.
df. My eyes are good but bad at the same time.
I feel like my handwriting is so bad, but it's fine. DF is equals to 10. We actually kind of did this one, but whatever. Moving on. Determine the length of PN. And while I give you guys 1 minute to do this question, I'm just going back to my thingy, my Bobby, to get the correct names for our quiz podium. I know who it was. I know 2 of the names. I just don't know the third names. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back. Let us see who wants to answer this one. Thingy Bobby. Yeah, sorry, that's my word. Who? P.O. Intley. P.O. Intley. Is that how you say your name? You win, Claire. Itandile, yes. Do you want to answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go.
So, ma'am, I said Pn squared is equals to Mn squared plus M plus Pm squared. And then I said,
oh my goodness gracious, my brain can't keep up with my hand.
Pn squared is equals to which is equals to 8. It's bracketed, so then you bracket squared plus 15 bracket squared. Then you say, are you keeping up, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm not. Then, ma'am, you say Pn squared is equals to 64 plus 225. Yes, 225. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And then, ma'am, we say 225 plus 64, which gives me 289. Then we say Pn squared. We put a root equals to. Are you keeping up? I think I'm talking to myself.
No, you're keeping up. I mean, I'm
Okay.
keeping up.
Is
What
it
next?
equal to 17, ma'am? Pn squared is equals to
Let's
17.
see. Oh, where's my calculator? 17. Let's see what is 17 squared. 289. Yes, it is equals to 17. Are we done?
Yes, ma'am. Where are? No, ma'am. Hi again. I thought I was done.
It's Andile. I almost got you. I'm clearly not being annoying enough. Anyways, here's a question for anybody who wants to try it. A little bit of a challenging one. If you don't know how to do it, don't stress. We're going to go through it on Thursday.